Welcome to Let Me Be Frank, Mike. I'm Mike here with Frank. Last week, Frank, not our greatest, but also not bad. I mean, we split on everything. I went 1-1 on my picks. You went 1-1 on your picks. I went 1-1 on my leans. You went 1-1 on your leans. We were hoping for a bigger comeback after not doing so well 2 weeks ago, and we probably should have had a couple big bets in there, but
We did, we were talking about earlier, we had Tennessee, we bet on the opening day on Mondays, which we already talked about many times in our podcast. It's not a good idea anymore to throw a lot of money on a game on Monday, because you don't know what, but we really love the line on Tennessee. I was getting Tennessee +1, I think you were getting +2 or something like that, I can't remember what it was. And we jumped on it. And unfortunately, we talked about jumping on it bigger by Wednesday. Let's wait a couple days and see if anything, no injuries or anything. And of course, it all went right to bullshit. Tannible's out. We don't know. They traded a safety, and we're like, oh no. So it kind of bummed me out, because I was really going to hammer Tennessee. I was really game for it. Our picks. My number one pick was Miami last week. I barely played Miami. I was kind of already bummed out on the Tennessee bullshit, and I just didn't know where I was going to go last week. So and we missed some opportunities. Mike had Detroit. He loved Detroit. I thought he was going to, even right before the game, he called me up. He says, I'm going to put some more money on it. And I'm like, I don't even know anymore. You're asking the wrong guy.
yeah, I got to 7, and I was like, okay, it's time to put some more bets on. I need to be better about putting my action on Mondays and Thursdays, and our action and our contest on Twitter. Last week I was out of town, so
That's true.
wasn't great about it. But this week I'll be better on it. We're still going through a little couple of growing pains, but yeah, Frank, it seems like we're missing on these big games that we really like, because we're talking ourselves out of it, and we just, we always say, got to go with your gut, and we just need to start firing, because we're halfway through the season, and we've had a good season. I'm not saying that we haven't,
No,
but we should be
definitely a good
taking.
season.
We've had a great season, but we need to take advantage of these spots a little more than we are.
And I also, if you watched the previous podcast, I really kind of kept my bets down, because I said I was going to wait till the 8th, 9th, and 10th week, and now I'm in the 9th week. It's time to pull the trigger. For me.
Time to pull out all the stops, but let's just jump straight into our picks. You mind if I kick it off?
Go ahead, my friend.
So this week, I really like the Chiefs. And this Miami team, there's been a theme, and people argue maybe there's a theme with the Lions too, that they beat up on the bad teams, the Patriots of the world, the Denvers of the world, and they're not really in that upper echelon where they compete with these top teams. We saw it against the Bills. They lost in kind of embarrassing fashion, and I think that we'll see it with the Chiefs again this week. The game's in Germany, which I hate, but we're only laying 2 points, 1.5 in some spots, 2.5 in some spots. Shop around for lines. But we're only laying a small number here, Frank, and Patrick Mahomes is great off of a loss. He's great ATS. He's great straight up. He was sick last week. Kelsey didn't have a great week. People put into question. Kelsey, speaking of podcasts, actually on his podcast, said expect touchdowns from him this week. So maybe even a Travis Kelce player prop might be something worth a look. But
They blasted Kelsey on ESPN and other TV shows about, this thing with the, whatever her name is.
Taylor Swift. He has one bad game out of 9, and they're all
right,
all
and they're blaming her for, which is bullshit. So I would look for Kelsey definitely to step up, and Mahomes to step up.
Yeah, I think
Miami's defense is really not all that great, and you just did make a point. Miami has been beaten up on the crap teams and have got their butt kicked in.
And they struggle against good defenses, and this Chiefs defense is pretty good, and I think that they can hold that no one can stop the Dolphins from scoring. But what you can do is slow it down.
Aren't you afraid of a cheetah?
I know it's a revenge game.
I'm just throwing that in there.
But
just to bust your yards.
Maybe a little Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, 2-leg same game parlay to score a touchdown. That might be worth a look. I'll have to look into that and see what the odds are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do at Caesars or William Hill. That's what we usually bet on. But I like the Chiefs. I think the defense is better than the Dolphins, and I think that the offense, although the Dolphins is probably a little bit better, I mean the Chiefs is still an elite offense. So I really like the Chiefs here, laying under a field goal, coming off of a loss. I think they come out and they strike, and I think they get the job done. Then my second pick is gonna be the Eagles, and that's why I'm wearing the Eagles hat. Come on, guys, get it together, get with the program.
Ow!
I like the Eagles -3 here at home. Listen, it seems like I'm betting against two of very similar teams. Teams that are inconsistent and don't perform well against good teams. I talked about it last week. This Dallas team I know they beat the Rams, but the Rams was never supposed to have a good defense. They were outperforming in the beginning of the year. Their offense is still solid. Stafford gets hurt though, and
Is he playing this week, Stafford?
I'm not sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Nothing clear yet. But this Cowboys team, they're just not all put together. They seem like they're inconsistent. They have these misses. We're in Philadelphia, only laying 3 points. I don't understand how you don't take this. Everyone's saying that, everyone's a little nervous. Jalen, he has a little injury issue going on right now, but he looked fine to end last week's game. He hasn't really been, super limited in practices or anything like that. So I think he's a full go. I think this offensive line will be able to hold their own against the good pass rush of Micah Parsons and that Dallas defense. And I think Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and all those weapons they have there can really hurt this Dallas Cowboys offense. Defense. I just don't think that the Cowboys right now, and we talked about it at the beginning of the year, I said the Cowboys might challenge the Eagles for the division, but they're too inconsistent right now.
This is a big game for this division. And
they probably split the season series, the Cowboys and the Eagles, but
I agree.
I'm not betting against the Eagles at home.
At home. That's the only reason why I'm not touching the game myself, but there's a lot of numbers against Philadelphia for Dallas, but I definitely tend to agree with you. How could you not take Philadelphia at home in a conference game? 3 points, they're going to be up for this game. It's going to be a great game. I mean, hopefully I can get somewhere to watch it. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry, but
No, you're fine.
I agree with you.
Those are my two picks. So I'll give you. I have a couple leans, but I'll let you do your two picks next.
Mine are ugly.
They always are, Frank, for some reason.
Yeah, it's been an ugly damn year. Cincinnati, my boys, my Bengals. And my Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
But again, here's the reason why I say it's ugly. I keep having these nightmares of Josh coming down from the alien ship again and the defense all of a sudden looking like they're in the Super Bowl when they played Miami, doing this against Cincinnati, because they have been taking a bad rap all week everywhere. How Burrows is this and Cincinnati this and Cincinnati that, and I'm hoping I'm not falling into the hype.
The trap, yeah.
But Buffalo's defense has been playing off. Josh has been playing off. And if you look at the past, Cincinnati in the last 2 or 3 years come out slow, and then on the fifth, here comes my 9th week. Now, and if you look at last year, I think I had Cincinnati 4 or 5 straight, and they won 8, 9 straight from about the 8th week on.
Yeah, it might be another one of those situations.
I have to bet it. I have to. I'm putting it as my 4-star bet.
I say, I don't mind this game. I understand. I leaned against the Bengals. I bet against the Bengals last week with the 49ers because I said, prove it to me, Joe Burrow. And you know what? He did look really good last week. That defense looked really put together. I don't dislike this pick. But man, I mean, Buffalo coming off of a loss, this is a big game, a little bit of a revenge game from the playoffs. I mean, the Bengals and the Chiefs always seem to be the Bills' kryptonite, but I mean, how can you not like the Bengals after that showing against the 49ers? And how can you not like to bet against the Bills after what they showed against
it's just scary.
Against the Patriots.
Aren't they betting the Buffalo? Didn't the line move toward Buffalo?
Yeah, I think it opened at 3 and now it's to 2.5, plus 2.5 or plus 2.
It might even going down to 1.5 or 2.
Maybe.
I'm not really sure.
I mean, I'm staying away from this game. It's going to be a great game to watch, and I'll probably have some kind of small play because I'm definitely going to be watching it. But Man, that is a gross pick. That is a hard bet. But I mean,
Oh, I'm throwing it this week. I'm throwing it into the wind.
It's hard to
I'm putting
argue.
a lot of money down this week myself.
it's hard to argue though
It's
against
time for
it.
me to go.
It's hard to argue. How do you argue against it? Buffalo's defenses look bad. Josh Allen's look inconsistent, and Bengals look like they're super hot and they're at home. So I can't. Here we go. I mean, this could either be a really good week or a really bad week, 'cause we don't usually agree like this on everything.
I'm either eating out Outback or I'm going to Albertsons and buying a couple packages of ramen.
Yeah,
for dinner this week.
or we might just be sleeping sleeping at the Caesars, on the side of the
Garage.
road. Who knows?
My second pick, again ugly, and it got uglier as the week. I jumped on it on Monday. I'm going with the Raiders. And all of a sudden, 2 days later, what happens after I put my money on the Raiders?
It goes the other way.
It goes the other way. I was my general manager, my coach, my mayor. And now I just heard yesterday they're putting in a rookie. The old Gropp is not playing.
Yeah, they're gonna bench Garoppolo, put in Aiden O'Connell.
I know. So now I
But you almost might argue, like, is that really a downgrade? Because Garoppolo's looked terrible.
Yes, he has, and I think Oakland Raiders lost their confidence in their. I think Davis did the right thing.
I don't think he should have ever hired McDaniels in the first place. I was Team Bisaccia all the way.
Guy, it was terrible. His calls were terrible.
His personnel decisions were terrible.
And you lose that faith in the locker room.
I don't know if he ever had it.
You might not have.
Okay, tell us why we're betting the Raiders. Though,
Okay.
'cause we're just shitting on the Raiders right now. I mean,
Yeah, right, exactly.
We're not
And
making
I'm
your
gonna tell you
pick
what,
okay.
I'm going to tell you the big reason I like them. When I don't have the exact numbers, but when a team gets rid of their coaches and bring in other players and do things and change it up, the team gets confidence again. The Raiders are a good team. They've got two good wide receivers. They got one of the best running backs in football.
they have weapons.
They have the weapons. And what are we looking at? The Giants. Now, I was kind of counting on...
Frank hates the Giants.
I'm a Giant fan. That's what's even worse.
Yeah.
Remember last year? That's all I talked about. But they're bringing back the quarterback, which I was expecting that third string to come back, but they are bringing back Jones. But he's been out a couple weeks.
I think Jones is good though. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. And then they got rid of one of their top defensive players.
They did. They got rid of Leonard Williams. That's going to be a loss, definitely in the running game. But the thing about this running game for the Raiders is they haven't showed us anything because this offensive line isn't very good.
Right.
And they haven't been able to... Like, Jacobs has not looked good for most of the year because this offensive line is
Are you
bad.
talking me out of this Oakland game? Or did I talk myself about it?
I already told you...
I'm sticking with it because, again, I'm like I said, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I made my point. When a team has a big changeover, confidence comes back up, the team is not that bad, the Giants are that bad. Playing here at the stadium, I gotta go with it.
I don't hate the pick. Earlier in the week, I liked it better when McDaniels and Ziegler were still there. It seems like it always goes two ways. Either the team gives up hope or they regain hope. And this team might regain hope because we saw it when Bisaccia replaced Gruden. They went on that streak and went to the playoffs, played the Bengals, and almost beat the Bengals at the Bengals. And here we are talking about how great the Bengals are. So they have the pieces. I don't really like the game. Finally, a game that we don't completely agree on. I don't really like the game. The Giants' defense looks good. Jones is back. Saquon looks healthy. I'm not sold on this Giants offense, but their defense has looked better, and I just don't know what to expect from this Raiders team right now.
We'll find out.
I mean, you could be right, and maybe they do come in here. I mean, it's at home. I've been to the Legion. It's a ruckus crowd. I mean, that's an advantage. Maybe they do come out and beat them. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they crushed them. Maybe this is the change that they needed, like you said. But it's a stay away from me. But
Those are my two picks.
I do want to talk about a couple games.
Oh, we are. We're going to do some leans. I have like two leans. Actually, one leans against one of his picks, but
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
was
I don't want.
surprise you.
I already know. I already know what it is, and I really don't care because you're gonna be wrong. Big Mac bet of the day, baby. Big Mac bet of the day. Frank and I will put a little side action on that. Maybe a Big Mac,
Probably. I don't know because
maybe a ribeye.
because this game can go. The game we're talking about is definitely a Kansas City Miami game. I've been making money on Miami all year.
It's
We
true.
do agree that this is a big game. Is Miami going to show up? Mr. Crabtree over at T-Mobile. I was at T-Mobile the other day getting a stream from my phone, and I asked the man. I says, "Who do you like in this Miami-Kansas game?" I like to ask the public once in a while, just see where the public's going. Oh, how could you not like Miami? And I went, uh-oh. Now the public's going.
There we go.
There you go. So
That's
now,
good for me.
Well, it is because when but Brett, I think you're on the right track here. So I'm gonna go with you with Miami on this. I'm gonna put a little money on Miami. I'm probably the Big Mac. It's gonna be a great game to watch, and that's the reason we're gonna.
Well, Big Macs are expensive right now, Frank. So watch out.
But that would be the only well, to go against you. I have a few other leans. I'm gonna let you throw a lean in here.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on the Monday thing, how we bet on Monday when opening lines come out, and I'll tell you two bets that I did make. They're already in. Saints. I mean, so are the Chiefs and the Eagles. I have money on the Chiefs and the Eagles already, but I took the Saints at 7 when it opened. Loved it at 7. Now it's at 8.5.
And they're banging the Saints right now.
Yeah, so at 7 I loved it. At 8.5 it's probably a stay away for me. I don't hate it if you like it, but and then I also took the Colts minus 2.5 on the road against the Panthers. The Panthers beat the Texans at home. Congratulations. Are they like all good now? I mean the Colts meanwhile just scored 37 points on the Browns.
They're averaging 20 points a game.
They're looking good on offense. Their defense doesn't really look that good, but this Panthers offense doesn't look that good. So they change who calls the plays, and they beat Houston by like 2 points barely and only score like 15. And you're telling me now this team is good enough to
beat the Colts?
To beat the Colts? I don't see it. So I like the Colts minus 2.5.
The trends are on Carolina 3-2 and 1 against the Colts at home at Carolina. A lot of numbers are showing Carolina. Frank Reich is the coach for
Carolina.
And he came over from the Colts.
Yep, little revenge game too.
I don't think he even gives a shit personally. I think he's just hoping he can win another game this year.
I think that he just wants to hope that he can get it together. And
I bet with Mike on Monday too. I jumped in on the Colts too.
Well, you said you were going to hammer the teams that play Carolina. You don't
all
like
year long. I'm liking the Jets all year, and I'm liking the rest of the year, and I'm still waiting for my big Jets bet. And that's going to be a lot of money when I see it. I don't know if it'll be this was they're playing the Chargers on Monday night.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of money on the Jets.
That's gonna be,
I kind of like.
I don't know. I kind of like the Chargers myself, but then again, the way the Jets fly is you don't know who's going to show up. What week are the defense going to beat them in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left? Is that going to happen again? So I think it's already getting.
And
close
the
to
Chargers are they're an inconsistent team though too.
Defense is like ranked 33.
Yeah, and there's only 32 teams in the NFL, but sometimes Frank forgets how to count.
No, I'm not forgetting. They're if I can go even to 43.
I think
grade Z.
You never
alphabet.
You never know with this Chargers team. They're just like
you don't know exactly.
They're just
you can't bet on them or against them.
It's up, down, all
they
around.
whooped up on the Bears.
Yeah, whooped up on the Bears last week.
So that shows you how bad the Bears are.
But then they should have beat the Cowboys, and they lost to the Cowboys, and then they got blown out by the Chiefs.
We talked about that last week. The San Diego's defense, I think Dallas's offense made San Diego's defense look good that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's their defense is up and down and up and down, and their offense is up and down and up and down. Right. I mean, it happens in the game, that Kansas City game. They looked like they were in it, like they could win the game at halftime, and then all of a sudden in the second half they come out and just fall to pieces.
So we'll stay. So the Jets won't be my big bet this week.
I will say that there is a couple other games that I'm looking at and liking. There's a lot on this board that I like but don't love. So the other game is going to be Seahawks +6. Listen, I get that it's at the Ravens. I get the Ravens just crushed the Lions and are coming off a bye and all that stuff, but
no, Ravens beat Arizona and didn't cover the spread.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, I do remember that. But now you're saying Ravens at home have to go back from Arizona. They had a tough
They
travel.
Cleveland next week.
They played Detroit at home, and then they flew to Arizona, and then they flew back to Baltimore to play the Seahawks this week. And it's a tough travel spot. They're laying 6. So I like the Seahawks here +6. The only thing that gives me a little bit of nervous tingles is the Seahawks offensive line is not that good. And the Ravens defensive line, as we saw against the Lions, can come after you and come after you quick. But 6 points is too much for me. I'm looking at the Seahawks. And then
That was my other lean too.
oh, it was yours?
Yes, it was. That was
Look at
my
that.
other lean.
Man, we are aligned this week.
Maybe we should take that.
Take that big bet and start looking for something quick.
Let's look at something big here.
Okay.
We gotta find one. We're gonna find one. We're gonna hit it hard.
We got it. Check out our Twitter. We'll tell you what we're hammering this week. But
Yes.
unless there's anything else you want to say, Frank, I think that's pretty much a wrap.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, again for tuning into our podcast. I have I'm blanking. The Chiefs -2 and the Eagles -3. Frank has the Raiders -1, 1.5.
But
About
my big bet's going with Cincinnati.
going with Cincinnati -2.5.
AC Championship.
There it is. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll catch you next week.